My name is Biotza Gutierrez. I'm the coordinator of the Preventomics project. And as said, we are really pleased on behalf of the cluster, CHanCe cluster, to be here to present you our session that we call Digital-Based Tools to Empower Sustained Lifestyle Changes. Let me first say a couple of words of who we are and why we decided to join this CHanCe cluster. We are 5 EU-funded projects. So Protein stands for Health, NUTRISHIELD, FNS-Cloud, and Preventomics. That during this year we have worked and we are still working not only in the fields of personalized nutrition on different topics related with personalization, but also on food security, on data reuse, on standardization, and also interoperability, on trying to see how the data in the health and the agri sectors are very fragmented, and then how we can make it compliant with the first principles. We shared among the different projects several similarities, not only in terms of the scientific and technological outcomes, but also in terms of societal challenges and also industrial challenges. So that's why we decided to join together and apply together to this EU Horizon Results Booster program in order to maximize the impact of the project and targeting in a more jointly way the different stakeholders that range not only the professionals and the citizens, but also policymakers and the health agri-food industry. Before we review the agenda, let me briefly show you the video that we have prepared, and it goes now. Okay, so here a little bit the agenda review for today, for this morning. I'm pleased to have a keynote speaker to start with the session, and then we'll have short presentations from the different five projects, and then we will end up with a question and answer and round table. A couple of tips and things to remark now. First of all, the sessions will be recorded. So please, if have any inconvenience, this to be recorded, please. You have the chat available. For the moment, you have the cameras and the micros off, but you can raise your hands and whenever you want, and also to post any possible questions you might have on the chat, and then we will be taking up as soon as possible, and also give you also room to open the microphone and say your words or ask your questions. Now let's move forward, and this is the 5 presenters from the different 5 projects that will introduce briefly the overview of the project and objectives and consortiums and main outcomes. And now very pleased to welcome and to have Ana Ramirez de Molina as our keynote speaker. She's the Deputy Director of the IMDEA Food Institute. She has a PhD in molecular biology, and she has been working for more than 25 years in relationships between metabolism, nutrition, obesity, cancer. She leads right now this precision nutrition and cancer research program at IMDEA Food Institute, and she has been working also a lot in different initiatives, EU initiatives, for instance, in the EIT food. And also she's the chief scientific officer of different startups, also in the field of precision nutrition. So please, Anna, thank you very much. And now the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. And first of all, thanks to the organizers of this event for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm going to share my screen just to talk a little bit about the fundamentals of personalized nutrition. And why? Because in the past years, just like 5-6 years, nutrition has taken the attention of the scientific community as a tool for health. Even some of the most important and relevant journals, scientific journals such as Science has dedicated special numbers to nutrition, diet, and health. But the question is how? How can we achieve this fact that nutrition is an efficient tool for health? And maybe the answer is moving towards precision nutrition. There has been a lot of studies that really demonstrate the efficacy of precision nutrition, for example, in diabetes and other questions. And in addition, for example, there are international initiatives like NIH, like the one of NIH that is called Nutrition for Precision Health. That is a 2020-2030 initiative focused on precision nutrition as a tool for health. And the fact is that nutrition isn't one size fits all. It's quite related to that of precision medicine. And right now, currently in Spain, we have a national strategy to implant precision medicine, and it has been similar in other countries in Europe in the past years. And the fact is that we have maximized efficacy and minimized toxicity when we make targeted solutions, targeted treatments for different diseases. And this is the main fundamental fact of precision nutrition. We have to go from general healthy recommendations to targeted nutritional strategies based on molecular events. That's what of precision nutrition. So what we are trying to do is to maximize efficacy, taking nutrition as a tool for health. And to that end, we have to understand what we need and what is our personal requirements. And we have also to understand which are the molecular effects of the components of nutrients or the molecular effects of the nutritional strategies that we are going to drive. Even the interest in the past years, it can be seen in several reports, like this one from the World Cancer Research Fund, that usually every year or every 2 years, they make a report about cancer and nutrition, the relationship between lifestyle factors, including nutrition, of course, and cancer development. And it used to be just an epidemiological report in which we can see what we eat and what is the incidence of the different types of cancer. But in the past 3 years, they have started to put the molecular hallmarks of cancer in this report and how nutritional factors are affecting these hallmarks of cancer at the molecular level. So precision nutrition is really a reality nowadays, and we have to work with it to improve health. But when we are talking about precision nutrition, what are we talking about? Okay, if we want to see what is influencing disease progression or treatment response or whatever, of course, we have genetics and our personal susceptibility to develop a disease, for example, and how it is interacting with the environment, and how the environment and the components of nutrients are affecting our genetics, but that's not all. We also have the microenvironment in our cells, and we have our innate immunity and our adaptive immunity that is going to respond to the environment also. And close related to this, we have our microbiome that is close related to our immune response and to, of course, the response to nutrition. And we also have cell metabolism, and cell metabolism is essential to regulate all the homeostasis of the body, and of course to regulate immunity and to regulate all these events. And it's closely related to our nutritional state, but it's not just the nutritional state, because it's, for example, different if we are obese, but we are metabolically healthy obese, or metabolically unhealthy obese. So all these factors are targets of precision nutrition. So we have started looking to precision nutrition with genetics, probably, but we have to take into account that it's more complex and genetics, but also metabolic status, and also immunity, and also microbiome. Everything is related to precision nutrition, because all these factors can be, all these processes can be modulated through precision nutrition strategies. But we have to go step by step. And there are two essential points that have been the starting points in the studies that have been developed in precision nutrition. One of them, that was initially called nutrigenetics, but covers a lot of more than genetics really, is just understanding our personal requirements, is to know how, to know who and why need special nutritional strategies. And the other one is to include complementary approaches. It can be through strategies, it can be through specific components, but we have to understand the mechanism of action of these protective therapeutic agents, and of course, of the to avoid toxic agents. We also have to understand what they are doing at the molecular level. And well, I'm going to talk about several examples of precision nutrition applications that we are doing in the Food Institute, just to see how we can apply these two different approaches of precision nutrition strategies. One of them is, of course, is based on genetics, and to understand which genetic variants are influencing, for example, here, the effect of fat intake reduction on weight loss. And we have a lot of genes, because obesity has been one of the main targets, one of the main complex diseases that has tried to be targeted through precision nutrition. And we know now that there are a lot of genes, a lot of processes that are involved in obesity development, of course, and can be targeted through precision nutrition. But there are a lot of companies. For example, there is one that has been developed between the Food Institute and the Autónoma University of Madrid, that is called Precision for Health. And what they do is, with this kind of studies, we have tried to understand different processes. For example, we have here biorhythm that is related with this paper that is here, but also energetic balance and another kind of process that give us genes that give us a specific personal susceptibility to respond to different diets that are focused on loss weight. For example, hypocaloric diet, low-fat diet, high-protein diet, and these genetic variants can give us clues of how we are going to respond to this kind of diets, or what kind of supplements are going to be more benefit for us. And they have developed different algorithms that give us just which can be our better approach to lose weight for these obese patients. And we work with different endocrinologists in different hospitals that use this genetic test to try to gain, and they have demonstrated that they gain efficacy on losing weight of their patients that are severe obesity patients. In this regard, we also work with another kind of algorithms, because gene variants are different, or somehow different, for childhood obesity. And we also have a pilot study in 7 schools of the community of Madrid that we have been following children for 5 years. And we have also developed genetic susceptibility approaches, in which we give the families the specific recommendations associated to their genetic test. And we have demonstrated that just following nutritional approaches that are focused on inhibiting these genetic susceptibility to develop obesity. These children have low amount of obesity in the schools that they have followed this approach. So this is another example of how we can approach society with precision nutrition to improve health. And finally, I wanted to put an example in cancer that is my main scope of action. Because despite the great evidence that supports that nutrition has a strong relationship between cancer development and cancer response, and the World Health Organization always says that more than 50% of tumors could be prevented or better treated if we had a nutritional approach. The real fact is that patients, when they go to the oncologist, they find that they have no answer to their questions about how can they improve their status, or if they can help to eliminate side effects, or if they can improve their treatments through diet. And the reality in a lot of hospitals is that patients only are treated in alarming situations. And in this regard, we have established a consortium that is called AliBird. That is, it has the objective of design and validate precision nutrition tools, products, and strategies aimed at improving the prognosis of cancer patients. We are here, 2 hospitals, Infanta Sofia and La Paz Hospital in Madrid, 2 universities, Autónoma and Politécnica, that is a group specialized in, an engineer group specialized in telemedicine, and 2 research centers that are specialized in nutrition, and in the Food Institute in precision nutrition. And we are following these 2 approaches that I mentioned before. One of them is to give people, we have a clinical trial at Infanta Sofia Hospital right now. It's a precision nutrition supplement that is given to the patients with cancer, that is targeting lipid metabolism, tumor metabolism really, and enhancing innate immunity. And we are evaluating the effect of this product that is called Lipchronic on the number of infections and the effect on the antitumoral treatment and the quality of life. And our preliminary results, because we are just now in the middle of the trial, we have 95 patients with cancer that have been treated with this compound, and we observed that significantly they have improved quality of life, followed by SF36. We also have observed that in the patients with lung cancer, that are the ones that have been analyzed, we have inhibited tumor metabolism, and we also have inhibited inflammation. So this targeted approach with a precision nutrition supplement is improving the health of cancer patients, because we have molecular events that are targeted with this compound. But this is not all, because, for example, the management of cancer patient and the management of this kind of complex diseases needs integrative management programs. We also are following data integration, because if we include in this personalized medicine, if we include nutritional factors, we need biocomputational analysis, artificial intelligence. We need to have all the data together to work with that. So we have developed an mHealth platform to follow the patients. So we have a mobile app for the patient and a web app for the oncologist, for the clinician. And what we are doing here is following all the side effects of the treatment, the nutritional factors, lifestyle, physical activity, diet, of course. And these patients have access to all these factors, but in addition, they have this kind of nutrigenetic recommendations for the patient, in which what they have to eat to be healthier. And in addition, a genetic test for the oncologist, in which they can follow their susceptibility to develop, for example, cachexia, or to be to have well nutrition or not, and what is the metabolic status of the patient. And we also have preliminary results that with precision nutrition followed in this digital app, we can increase the health status of the patients. And finally, just to mention, this is one of the cases in which we are in FNS-Cloud because we are part of this project, because to understand how nutritional recommendations are going to be good for the patients, we need to understand the relationship between food and diet, between food and drug interactions, and this is our main scope of action in FNS-Cloud project. And just to mention that in Europe, we also work in EIT Food Community, that is a community of more than 70 partners focused on driving a change in the agri-tech culture, driving a change to a more healthier and sustainable nutrition. And targeted nutrition is one of the priorities of all this community, and in which we work a lot with them. And that's all, just to thank all the people that work with me in these projects, and of course all the funding resources, and all of you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your introduction. And just 1 second. Yeah. And the overview, definitely you have touched upon several relevant key things that we will maybe deep a little bit later on in different projects. I don't know. I know you have to leave. I know from the audience, if there is any questions that you would like to pose to Anna. Otherwise, I would like maybe to ask you because maybe it's a common thing that definitely the path is towards this precision nutrition, and a lot of advancement has been taken. But do you think it's still more from the consumer, from the citizens point of view? Do you think it's still a little bit far from them? That it's still steps to be taken, for instance, applications to be available for them that really have in the back end all the genetics, all the metabolism analysis, all these data integrations. I don't know, just to have your opinion, Anna, on this. Anna, one second, Anna, sorry. I think there is an issue now with. Yeah, no, yeah, sorry, with your micro.
Okay, I think it's not so close as it should be, but we have to drive precision nutrition to society. And we as scientists, we think that it's more complex and it's difficult to put them in society. Now, for example, this genetic test, from a scientific point of view, we could think that it's not enough because there are a lot of more genetic variants that are involved in these processes, and maybe it's not so good as we would like, but they are something and they help. And we have to understand that, and we have to go step by step to society, and maybe we can start putting tools, and this is what we are trying to do with this genetic test or with these mobile apps, because of course, in this mobile app, for example, for cancer patients, they had not all the information that is in the app. The oncologists do and the scientists do. Patients do not have this information, but it's enough for them as a first step to be included in a precision nutrition program. So maybe that is the answer, that we have to go step by step, though we could do more in a scientific point of view.
Thank you. Yeah, approaching little by little, and bringing the scientific breakthroughs into society.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anna. Really lovely to have you here in our sessions, and really we keep in touch for further events. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, so after this, this umbrella sessions made by Ana Ramirez de Molina, we will start deepen into the different projects that belongs to this CHanCe cluster, and we will start with Stand for Health, and we have here presenting Sergio Perez Burillo, who is the Stand for Health project manager. Sergio has a postdoctoral fellow at the School of Engineering at the University of Navarra here in Spain, and then a PhD in nutrition and food sciences. And he has studied a lot the relation between foods and gut microbiota, and with a special focus on bioactive compounds using in vitro and then in silico tools. So Sergio, please, when you want.
Thank you for this kind introduction. So it's really nice being here today. Okay, I'm gonna start by sharing my screen here. Okay, so I hope you can see it all right. I'm gonna introduce you to this Stands for Health project, okay? And just first, real quick, just say that Stands for Health is a project funded within the H2020 program and brings together 19 different entities from all across Europe, involving hospitals, universities or companies, which really give us a really nice view of the whole innovation process since the idea is first laid out to when the product is already developed. But what is this project about? What we are aiming to do here is to fight against non-communicable diseases, such as, in our case, obesity or celiac disease. And we are aiming to do so by providing people with a smart, personalized nutrition system. Okay, so but how is it going to look like for consumers? People will have access to this smart personalized nutrition system via phone app, which is called iDiet. This phone app will give people personalized dietary advice according to several personal information, such as body measurements, health status, personal taste tests, food allergies, or physical activity. Though the main innovation here is personalization of diet, taking into consideration good microbiome. But why is important good microbiome? Well, as science have demonstrated, good microbiome is related to several non-communicable diseases, such as, for instance, obesity. There is also growing evidence that people suffering from some diseases harbor different microbes, and also they may be in different quantities. And not only that, but also these microbes have the production of microbial metabolites is also altered in these diseases. So actually our premise here is quite simple, because if we favor positive bacteria or the production of positive microbial metabolites, we should be able to improve people's health. So how are we going to manage to modulate microbial community with diet? Well, this is actually not an easy task, and one can follow different approaches. But what we did was going through scientific evidence and to looking for microbial metabolites with positive effect on health, but also microbial metabolites that can be detrimental for people's health. What we want to do here is basically to favor the production of positive microbial metabolites, and at the same time decrease the production of metabolites that may be harmful for people as much as possible. And we actually can do this because we know how good microbes are going to metabolize the food that we are going to give them. So we can actually predict with reasonable accuracy whether a particular food is going to produce positive metabolites or negative metabolites. But also this phone app needs to be able to produce daily menus to people. And in order to do that, we need to have food databases. However, even though there are a lot of available databases across the world, every single one of them have some missing piece of information regarding specific nutrients, like phytochemicals, for instance. So we actually had to build our own food databases, and we did that by merging different databases available. And now what we have is a very comprehensive, a very complete database, ensuring that all the nutrients are available there. So we actually have information about raw food, recipes, ready-to-eat food, fast food. So we can actually provide dietary advice on daily menus with very easily making giving people many choices so they can feel comfortable, and we can actually engage them, which is at the end the main goal of every nutritional project. However, we also have some specific tailored food for specific populations, such as obese people or celiac people or people with specific allergies. This is something that the company branch of the project was in charge of. So we developed some nutritional supplements that will be recommended in specific situations, in these situations in which with only a regular diet, people cannot meet the requirements. Here we have, for example, an example of some products specifically focused for celiac people or for people with allergies. They are also enriched with tannins, which is a compound that can favor microbial metabolism and the production of these positive metabolites that we were talking about before. We also have some products specifically tailored for athletes. Here you have two examples. One of them is for before the exercise takes place, and the other one is for after the exercise. So I'm gonna just show you here real quick walk through the app. So it's real simple, really easy to navigate, so people can easily use it. So the app will basically ask you about different personal information, so the daily menus are as accurate as possible for you, and you don't have any problem consuming them, like physical activity, or if you have some allergies, some disease, stuff like that. So the app basically will generate menus for you. You can actually change them if you don't like some of the options that the app is going to give you. So there is also a GPS positioning module installed on the app. So if you have trouble finding some food options, the app will connect with Google Maps and will tell you where you can buy. Obviously, you can choose your own supermarket, so no problem with that. The app also have a voice recognition and a barcode scanner module, so you can easily browse for foods. If you want to change one of the options that the app is telling you, you can easily do so, so no problem in there. And finally, I would like to end to just mentioning that we are just now in the last stage of the project, in which we have to validate results obtained in the lab. We are going to do that with several trials. We are actually performing right now trials in adults. We are also going to perform a trial in children with obese children, children with allergy to cow's milk protein and celiac disease children, and also a trial in adults practicing sports. So that's everything. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the overview of the Sensor Health project. I think there is no question for the moment. As we said, finally, we will have a question and answer. So then feel free to post anything and to have an open discussion there. So yes, yeah, please. I think we have one hand raised. Marina, I don't know if you can give turn. Yes. If not, because I think it was
probably a mistake, because I cannot see any hands raised at the moment.
In any case, if not, if you can write down in the chat, and I think easier to follow, and then And
there is a question in the chat, Piotr.
Okay, yes, now I see it. Okay. Yeah, in which now I think what languages is it the app available right now, Sergio? They are asking.
Well, right now I think the app is Spanish, English. If it isn't right now, it will be available in German, in Greek, and probably it will be available in more European languages at some point. But right now, as it is in the first stages, it's basically Spanish, English.
Okay. So, and then another one was what was the greatest challenge? No, when you were building the food database.
Well, as I understood, because I wasn't directly involved in that, but as people told me, they actually struggle a lot with that because they had to merge a lot of different databases, and the problem with that is that each database had their own units. Like one database was grams per 100 grams, other database was milligrams per something, so they had to do a lot of calculations in there, and foods had different names. One food database was pepper, the other was green pepper, red pepper, so they had to do a lot of merging and took a lot of work. It was actually like a year's work or something like that. So yeah, it was very challenging.
Okay, let me take up at least a couple of them more. Yeah, one is how did you create the meal plans suggested to the users? Yeah, and then another one that a little bit, I guess, highly connected. If it's already available for the public, or I think, or it's still to be used only for the validations, for the trials, I would say.
The creation of the meals, basically the app follows all these parameters that I mentioned before, let's say that you tell the app that you don't like fish, so the app won't tell you to eat fish, or at least in high frequency, because fish is actually good for health. But also regarding, for example, good microbiome, we have scored different foods according to whether they produce beneficial or detrimental metabolites, so the app knows which food is actually better or worse for your microbiome. Those foods which are actually better will be recommended more frequently than the ones that are worse for your microbiome. That's one example. And the other question, what was the, sorry?
Yeah, if the app is already available
yeah,
for public generation,
sorry.
Or if it's still on the trial phase.
Well, we are still testing. I mean, I think you can actually download a beta from the Stands for Health web page. It will be available in the Android market. I mean, in the Google Play store. But as of now, I think you can download a beta from the Stands for Health project, but still has some features that are unavailable because we are still testing it in this trial. But yeah, it will be soon, probably in the Google Play market. Okay.
So let me, if it's okay, take up one more, Sergio, if it's okay from you, and then we will collect the other ones. And if it's okay for the audience, we can bring them on the table for the questions and answer, because I think most of the questions will be pretty similar for the different projects. I think it would be nice to have a kind of joint conversation and discussion. So one more is regarding if you foresee the possibility of using databases beyond Europe.
Yeah, we actually for building our Stanford Health database, we actually used the food database from the Department of Agriculture from United States. So we are actually including already data from there. But yeah, sure, we are. I mean, we wanna reach as many people as possible. So to do that, we have to include I know, typical recipes from South America or from Africa or from Asia. So yeah, at some point in the future, we surely make use of different databases from across the world. So.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will be collecting during the different presentation the additional questions, and you will have more room, Sergio, to answer afterwards in the questions and answers session. So thank you very much for your presentations. And now we jump to the other project, which is the protein project, and we'll have here explaining Cosmas Dimitropoulos. Cosmas, he holds a diploma in electrical and computer engineering and a PhD degree in applied informatics. He is a researcher of grade C at the Information Technologies Institute of the Center of Research and Technology, ELAS, the third. And he is also academic director of a MOVE postmaster program for third at Mainz Paris Tech. Thank you very much, Cosmas, for presenting protein.
Thank you very much, Bioza, for the kind introduction. Let me share my screen. So my name is Cosmas Dimitropoulos. I'm a researcher at CERT, Center for Research and Technology, ELAS. I will present you the protein project, which is a project about personalized nutrition for healthy living. It's a Horizon 2020 project. It ends in November, so we are in the last phase of the project. We are ready to run the pilots. We have finished the technical work. Our consortium consists of 20 partners from different European countries with different expertise and background. We have 4 industrial partners, including large supermarkets and football clubs like Benfica from Portugal. We have SMEs, ICT experts, and also restaurants and associations. We have a large number of research partners, ICT experts, nutritionists, medical experts, physical activity experts, and also experts in legal issues. And also we have 2 associations. One is a school association and the other is the European Association for the Study of Obesity. Now, what is the main objective of the protein project? Our goal is to promote healthy lifestyle in order to improve the general state of health of the European population. And we aim to do so by using cutting-edge technology, artificial intelligence algorithm, mobile devices, wearable sensors in order to provide personalized recommendations and advice to the users. The protein system is an ecosystem. We have the mobile application, but also we have the dashboard for the experts, for the nutritionists or the medical experts, and the cloud infrastructure where all the information is stored there. And we have also a number of a set of algorithms running on the cloud. The goal of the protein is to offer personalized dietary and physical activity plans by taking into consideration the profile of the user, the personal preferences, the physical and physiological characteristics, and health status. And also, the system aims to collect real-world data from the everyday life of the user using ICT technology, the mobile devices, the wearable sensors, and also we apply AI algorithms and machine learning algorithms in order to analyze the data. And at the same time, we take into consideration medical data from electronic health records or by analyzing genetic, blood, and gut microbiome information. And all this data is sent to an ensemble of AI agents, which aims to provide personalized and readaptable dietary plans. And I use the word readaptable because in case that the user makes any change, there is a special algorithm that readapts the proposed meal plans and physical activity plans in order to fit to the special needs of its user. Now, what are our research and development goals? First, the first goal was the model of existing knowledge. So here we had the collaboration of our experts groups, nutritionists, medical experts, and physical activity experts with the ICT partners who tried to model this knowledge. And we have already published an odology, and nutrition and physical activity odology, and then the development of the ICT system, the development of the backend and the development of a set of AI algorithms, but also the development of the mobile application and the web platform for the experts. And finally, the demonstration of the system in 3 real-life scenarios: the physical or electronic food store, restaurants, and at home. And we are going to study different groups of users, and I'm going to present these groups in a while. So the system combines user information, food intake, physical activity, health data, personal preference, socio-cultural and lifestyle data, and also for a special group of users, we analyze genetic, blood, and gut microbiome data. And then we have the knowledge of experts. So we have created a knowledge base, and we collect data from the ICT system in order to provide early warnings related to allergies, personalized weekly dietary and physical activity plans. And from these plans, we automatically generate the shopping list, which is sent to the system of the supermarket. And in our case, we have Ocado, which is one of the largest online supermarkets. So automatically, the dietary plans are translated to a shopping list and is sent to the system of Ocado. And finally, a personalized suggestion when dining outside. So we analyze the menu of the restaurant and we make specific suggestions taking into account the dietary plan of the user. And this is an overview of the architecture of the system, where you can see that we are using different sensing technologies. We have a smart badge for measuring the physical activity of the user, but also we are testing some other sensors. For people suffering from diabetes, we collect data from continuous glucose monitoring sensors. But we are testing 2 other sensors, a sensor for bowel sound analysis and for VOC, volatile organic compound analysis, for research purposes mainly, and only for a special group of users. And we have the mobile application, which supports the user in 3 different environments: the supermarket, the restaurant, and the home. The dashboard for the experts who can monitor the progress of the user and also make changes to the plans in order to improve the personalization and fit better the plans to the special needs of each user. And a game suite with games for kids, because we also have a scenario for the students in schools. And all this data that we collect from the real environment and the data that we have in our databases is sent to the cloud, where we store the data, and also we have our AI algorithms that produce the recommendations, the notifications, and the suggestions. And these are some of the AI technologies that we have studied and some of the AI algorithms that we have developed within the framework of the protein project. So we have developed an AI recommendation engine, some algorithms for food image analysis for the automatic recognition of food, a video-based eating rate analysis algorithm, a food intake assessment system algorithm that analyzes the photo and tries to estimate the volume of the food, a food product identification algorithm, a simple algorithm based on the barcode identification, and pre and post meal analysis. Here we have developed some algorithm for our spatial sensor, especially for the VOC and the bowel sound analysis sensor. And last but not least, the big data analysis algorithm, because our goal is to use this data in order to collect data, real-world data from the users and try to analyze this information. This is the main idea behind our AI recommendation engine. So we have all the information in our database, and here, apart from the foods and macronutrients and the datasets that the existing datasets that we use, our experts have developed meals, a large number of meals and physical activities. And then we have designed an ontology, and we have already published this ontology. You can find it, which contains rules and conditions acquired by our nutrition and physical activity experts. And our RDSS algorithm, which is an inference mechanism, exploits this information, takes also into consideration the profile of the user in order to create a set of appropriate meals and physical activities for each user. At the next stage, we have a nutrition and activity plans generator, which is based on multiple criteria such as calories, proteins, food groups, and so on, which combines these meals and create a large number of daily meal plans. And at the last stage, we create the weekly plans by taking into account also the preference of the user, the history of the user from his interaction with the application in the previous weeks, and also a frequency score, because we don't want to present again and again the same meal plans to the user or meal. So we need to find a trade-off between user preferences and variability. And here you can see the screen with the proposed daily meal plans. Of course, the user can make changes. We provide some equivalent meals, but also he can manually enter information. But we have also developed some algorithm for the automatic addition of new meals in the application through image processing. We have developed some, these are of course research algorithms. We have some good results for the automatic recognition of the foods, and also some new algorithms for the automatic estimation of volume. But of course, these are mainly research work. There is a great potential, and these are algorithms that have a lot of interest, and we can continue the research work on this direction. And of course, we support food product identification through the barcode. Another algorithm that we have developed is a video-based algorithm for analyzing the eating behavior of the user, because this behavior is correlated with obesity and eating disorder. So if someone is eating very fast, so we provide a feedback. Here we apply a human motion analysis algorithm in order to estimate the number of bites in a specific time window. And we have very good results. Also, we run this algorithm we use this algorithm for different research goals. For instance, we have run some experiments with Parkinson's disease patients. For users suffering from diabetes, we collect data from continuous glucose monitoring during and after meal consumption. And these measurements are set to the cloud, and we provide every week some personalized notifications regarding meals and ingredients that are associated with increased glucose levels. Also, as I mentioned before, we use a VOC sensor, and we want to collect the data before and after some specific meals, and we would like to use this data and also analyze it for research purposes. And our partners have also designed a smart bell for bowel sound analysis, which consists of one electrogastrography sensor and 4 acoustic sensors. And also they have developed some machine learning algorithms in order to find, to identify abnormalities in gastric myoelectric activity. These are also some interesting research works. And our goal is to run our pilots in the next months with real users and collect as much data as possible in order to find possible correlations between dietary behavioral patterns, physical activities, and with individual parameters. So we have designed some explainable deep learning networks, and we aim to start our pilots in April in the coming days and start collecting real-world data from users. And these are the scenarios that we are going to study. We have a first group, which is the general public. So we have healthy adults, adolescents, and older adults. In the second group, we have users under nutrition supervision, and here we have adults who are overweight and athletes. And in the last group, we have users under medical expert and nutritionist supervision, and here we have adults who are obese, suffering from cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes, and adults with iron deficiency or poor quality diet. And here are some achievements of the project so far. So we have designed and developed the mobile app and the knowledge, the expert knowledge base ontology, the web platform, and also we have designed 5 games and a number of algorithms, and we have tested different sensing technology. We are going to run pilots with 20 different groups, and we have designed the user profile where we have 40 different features. We have also designed more than 100 physical activities and more than 2,000 meals, and many lines of algorithms. We are finishing right now the functional testing of the last version of the application. So hopefully the application will be uploaded to the Google Play on Monday or even on Saturday if we finish with the functional testing. So it will be ready for use, and you can download it from the Google Play. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Cosmas. Wow, now good luck, no? Now if you are going to start the interventions. And you can see, I think the audience can see that it's very digital, what the driving force from the different projects, and also from now the next one is the data and technologies and ICT and AI technologies. Any questions? If not, I think I have wanted, because I think it might be common from also you, Cosmas and Sergio, because that it was regarding these dietary plans. It was posted before that they are personalized, according to one person. But what about the family? They were saying that maybe it's not feasible, if you are in a family to have different menus.
Yes, this is.
So I don't know if this family component is how it's taken into account.
Yes, at this moment we provide personalized plans. This is something that we have considered, but this is something that we would like to do in the future, because we need to take into consideration the personal needs of each member of the family. So we have a more complex problem. At this moment, we provide only personalized plans for each member of the family. But it is something very interesting that we would like to do in the future.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think this is also the challenge, and how to make it, to fit into, families' lives. Here they are asking Cosmas, what is the next step? How many users already were on the protein project?
At this moment, we have designed around 20 pilots. I don't remember now the number. I think it is around 5,000 users. This is the goal. We will see if we manage to reach this goal. We have a lot of experts in different countries, and also we have hospitals, we have supermarkets, and we have nutritionists that they will participate in this pilot phase and bring the users. So this is now a challenging phase because we would like to also to test the application and also to see if we will manage to collect big data and try to analyze it and extract knowledge. So this is a critical phase of our project.
Definitely. And another one that I think it's very, very, very relevant when we're talking about personalized nutrition and this controversial about the financial status, and that they ask, will the user financial status has been taken into account when you in the app and when you are designing these meals or these activities that should be accessible for
Yes.
everybody financial.
At this moment, we focus on healthy diet. The next step is to focus on sustainable healthy diet. So the next step is to take into consideration the cost of the food, but also the environmental footprint of the proposed meal plan. So again, this is research for the future. It's a good comment. Yeah.
Okay, so let me also, as with Sergio, I will take additional questions for you, Cosmas, or for the open discussions. And I think we can thank you very much again for the overview on the protein project. And we move to the next presenter from the FNS-Cloud, CHanCe Ashley. Yes, I think, Ian, are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So CHanCe, she was awarded with a diploma in science and communications by the Birkbeck University of London. She has been working a lot on as scientists and between combining these fields of research on food, on biotechnologies, and also in media. Right now, she is a senior researcher and communication manager at the Eurosphere. But she is also a science communicator and an editor of different scientific publications. So please, CHanCe, if you would like to introduce the FNS-Cloud, please.
That's it. So food nutrition security is a very different project to the two that we've just heard from. It's about. There is a fundamental problem around the food, nutrition, health domain, and that is that the information that exists is vast, but it is highly fragmented. If you consider that in Horizon 2020 alone, there were around 3,000 projects with some relationship to food, and that does not include the agri domain and it doesn't include the health domain. You can imagine the amount of data that's being produced with public money. And that, of course, will go back to previous frameworks of funding from the EU as well as national funding streams. And there exist around the world, there are a whole variety of networks and tools. And it is incredibly difficult for anybody who is working in the food nutrition security area to access those tools, know where they are, be able to find them. Even if projects make them publicly available, actually knowing where to find them is very difficult. So one of the other issues is fair data. So the ability to find the information, to access it, to be able to what they call interoperability, but so that data and tools can come together and be used and that you think you're talking about the same thing at the same time. And that then allows reusability. Even if data that is fair has the difficulty that access by different user communities is unevenly distributed. So, for example, accessibility may not be free. It may not be openly access. You may require different levels of authentication, and the metadata may or may not be available. So you may or may not be able to interpret the data because you don't have the supporting information. So to give you an example there, you might have a human study where you've put the results, the data out there, but you haven't explained how you selected your volunteers, or indeed how those volunteers are described in terms of anthropometric measures. And so that makes using that data almost impossible. So FNS-Cloud has been tasked with tackling both the fragmentation, the fact that there's this vast resource out there, but people struggle to find it, and the fact that having found it, there is a problem of actually using it and knowing what you're doing. So FNS-Cloud's vision, and we're only 2 years into the project, unlike some of the others that you're hearing from who are approaching the end of the project, our aim is to help to overcome that fragmentation and to make data, tools and services more fair, more readily accessed, more reusable. Because if we can do better science, then we can provide better information, better policy, and ultimately more sustainable diets for European citizens. I hasten to add that FNS-Cloud is not solving the whole problem. This is quite a complicated diagram, but the point that we're making, if you look at the food system all the way from agriculture through to health, and you look at sustainability development goals, and you look at access and availability, utilization, and the drivers within the food systems that impact those, such as climate, political, demographic, we can only really deal with a very small part of that, which is highlighted in the green box. So we're only just beginning to tackle a small part of the much bigger problem. So how is FNS-Cloud going about this? Well, we're testing the cloud solution using a number of use cases and field trials, and I'll talk a little bit more about what those are and why they're distinct in a minute, and demonstrators that will promote access and reuse of existing and emerging data. We're also testing the actual tools and services that will support researchers in this area to utilize that data, because it's an extraordinarily large amount of data and it cannot be done without additional tools and services. So we're looking at harmonization and standardization of data. So that's the data sources, the formats and the languages, and that's both spoken language, but also machine language formats in terms of both computer formats, but also formatting in terms of human interactions with that. And then we're looking at how we can get data to match with external services outside of FNS-Cloud, because we don't aim to produce another silo that will create a problem of, again, being in isolation. We're also looking at how we engage the different user communities. That's one of the biggest problems we have in the agri-food domain, is that there are so many subdomains within that simply don't encounter each other and have conversations about the data, the tools and the services. So we want to try to reduce those barriers, because if you can do that, then it will increase innovation and exploitation. We're also delivering education, training and support. One of the points that was made with the call was that there is a lack of confidence amongst food nutrition security researchers in utilizing modern tools. And so we need to build capacity, build skills and develop confidence amongst those user communities in how they can use the data and the tools and services. And then we need to look at a way of how to sustain this without creating a barrier where we still do not have the leveling up, where there is equal access. So that itself is quite challenging. So this is the standard slide of work packages. I'm actually less interested in the bit on the right. That tells you a little bit about the structure of the project. For me, the more interesting is looking at who the work package leaders are. So work package 1, which is management, is led by a non-profit SME. Work package 2 is led by a profit SME whose focus is technology. They're IT experts. Work package 3, which is looking at the services and tools, is an institute, but again focused on the IT side. We then have work packages 4 and 5, which are looking at the use cases and the demonstrators, and they're led by a university who are food nutrition security researchers, and an institute that is also made up of food nutrition security researchers. We then have dissemination, which is led by a non-profit association, mostly FNS research based, but also some IT expertise. 7, which is training, is led by a university, but their focus is education, and in particular education amongst professionals rather than amongst students. And then finally, we have work package 8, which is governance and sustainability, and that's led by an individual whose training is as a lawyer. When we look at the wider consortium, we see the same thing, that there are 35 beneficiaries from 11 EU member states, the UK, Serbia and Switzerland. They're composed of research organisations, including universities, but we've also got a high number of for-profit and non-profit SME associations. And overall, if you look at the skills that we've had to bring into this consortium, that's IT specialists, FNS researchers, social scientists, lawyers, science communicators and multiplier organisations. And one of the biggest difficulties we've had is simply being able to ensure that everybody who is in the project is speaking the same language in terms of their technical expertise, and making sure that everybody understands that something means the same to them as it does to someone in a different speciality. So where are we in this process? Well, as I said, we're 2 years in. We've dealt with 9 use cases and field labs. So what we've done is tested systems of how we can ensure that existing and emerging food nutrition security data is fairer. We've done some proof of principle work to fill gaps where data doesn't exist. We've identified those gaps and we've filled some of them. And we're now testing the FNS-Cloud infrastructure tools and services to see if they work in terms of using those data sets or those tools. But the point there is that in those use cases and field labs, those are very separate entities still. And so we're now moving into the work on the demonstrators that will actually allow researchers to start to answer research questions, demonstrating a modular approach where they can pick and choose different resources, plug them together and try to work on the research that interests them. That's being tested amongst user communities. It's right at the beginning stage. And people are still trying to get their heads around it. And hopefully it will identify limitations and we can implement some improvements before the end of the project. And we can also move on some of the tools in terms of their technology readiness level. A large number of them came in as pilot tools, and now we're pushing them towards being actually usable by the different domains. So in terms of the use cases and field trials, on the left-hand side, we've got existing data, and that's what the use cases we're working on. And they in particular were looking at traceability and measuring what is in food, so metrology. And in particular, they focused on 3 food chains, which are milk, olive oil and fish, largely because they are quite well defined, but there are others that are less well defined. So you need to start somewhere where you can hopefully follow the trail. We've looked at food labeling and reformulation tools, and in particular around branded food databases and alternative ways of collecting labeling data, in particular through things like crowdsourcing. So we've looked at total diet studies, and producing tools not only for professionals, which pre-existed the project with MCRA, but looking at how we might produce tools for consumers who are interested in looking at food contaminants and risk, but delivering that in a way that is appropriate and isn't just going to give numbers that have no context. We've also looked at food intake, consumer behaviour and lifestyle, and that has focused largely on mapping tools, merging strategies and data quality. So there are any number of ways of collecting information about what people are eating, but they're incredibly difficult to bring those together and make large data sets that then allow the kind of analysis that needs to be done. And that's why they've looked at mapping, merging and quality. And then there's also looking at lifestyle behaviours and in particular risk for non-communicative diseases. And there they focused on hypertension and type 2 diabetes risk. In terms of gaps, we knew that there was some gaps in terms of tools that can be used to gather data from those in particular in ethnic groups and or elderly. So we've adapted some tools to focus on those groups. We've also looked at family meal planning and how that can be linked to external tools such as recipe databases and also wellness apps. So combination of, well, okay, if I want to eat that food, what do I need to cook that meal? And if I'm cooking that meal, where do I get that information from? And that was not so much that the data was missing, so much as just working out what need to be plugged into what. And then we're looking at healthy diets for a healthy microbiome. So this is about, we have a better understanding that gut bacteria have a role in us being healthy. And we now recognize that there are microbiomes that are more healthy than others. But how do you manipulate those to be healthy using just the diet? And that is an area that is developing and has a long way to go in terms of being able to offer public health advice. And then finally, looking at something which actually MDIA and Anna's teams are doing at MDIA, and that's looking at food, diet, drug interactions. There's quite a lot of information out there in terms of drug interactions, but less understanding about food and in particular food compounds and how they interact. I mean, the most commonly known one is the interaction between calcium channel inhibitors that control blood pressure and grapefruit. But there are many, many others, and they are not well documented. And until they are, we can't then approach, obviously, both pharmaceutical industries and healthcare practitioners to engage them in understanding more and using those tools. So the demonstrators, as I said, are just at the beginning. There will be 3 demonstrators, one in the agri-food data tool area, which will pull together traceability, metrology, labeling, reformulation, and then risk benefit in terms of dietary patterns. There'll be another that will look at nutrition and lifestyle. So that's in particular intakes and the behaviours around purchase, preparation and consumption. And then also adding on to that, the composition of food, which is fairly well documented, but its use in terms of plugging into the consumption data is not so easy to do at the moment, and we hope to improve that. And then finally, as I said, looking at NCDs and the microbiome and the individual risks for particular diseases and research questions around that. One of the other areas we have is, I said that was important as far as the call was concerned, was growing people's confidence. So we have a Train the Trainer program at hubs across the EU, because we can't realistically train all food nutrition security researchers. So what we need to do is train people who can then in turn disseminate that training to others. We also have a community of practice, which is a bespoke online platform hosting our e-learning, our other learning resources and network activities. And we've just started to open that up to others across the user communities. We have work-based learning where people have an opportunity to actually go for a prolonged period of time to work with someone. So we're sending, for example, food nutrition security researchers to IT specialists to work with them in the hope that the IT specialists will understand more about the research and the research will be more confident about using the IT tools. And then finally, we're now looking towards an annual conference and social media around those activities so that we can spread it further and capture more interest from the user communities. So the expected outputs are that we hope that there will be improved professional skills, confidence and competency, that there'll be better transnational and trans-interdisciplinary cooperation, there'll be greater emphasis on the user's needs and sustainability in terms of the provision to those users, and obviously related to that, employment opportunities and improved science, and hopefully fairer data, more dialogue around that data, and ultimately improved sustainability. And just the point that even when FNS-Cloud is in place, we will continue to draw information from the research domain, but we also feed information into the other research infrastructures, and in particular EOSC, the European Open Science Cloud, which is also providing more on accessible, fairer data. And that's it from FNS-Cloud.
Thank you very much, CHanCe, for giving relevance to the fact of the data and how to maximize the different data that right now different places and different, and we need to bring them together together with these under these principles. If it's okay, and because we are a little bit now behind schedule, I will have this question posted and we'll bring it, Cian, if it's okay for you, to the round session.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and we move to the Preventomics project, and I have here said my colleague Josep Maria Dalvaz. He is the technical coordinator of the project, and he is the director of the nutritional health unit at EURECAT. He holds a degree in chemistry and biochemistry, and then the PhD in nutrition and metabolisms. And he's done several postdoc stays in the different places, such as the Baylor College of Medicine in USA, in the Università degli Studi di Milan in Italy, and University of Liverpool in the United Kingdom. And he has been working a lot on diet components, direction of diet components with the metabolic modulations, and in several EU projects, and also in preclinical research. So please, Josep, talk about Preventomics a bit.
Okay, thank you for this introduction, Biotsa. And let me share screen. Okay. Okay, can you see it properly?
Yes.
Right, so let's go. We'll present here this Preventomics project, which is intended to empower consumers to prevent diet-related diseases through omic science. This is the main objective, is to deploy these omic sciences into society and the real world. Basically, Preventomics intends to develop a biomarker and ICT-based system to improve people's health, sending personalized dietary and lifestyle advices and inducing a behavioral change, a long-lasting behavioral change. It is a 3 years duration project. It is ending by the end of April with a budget of 7.5 million, and we are 19 different partners from 7 European countries, coordinated by EURECAT in Spain. So that consortium is composed by 10 research institutions. We have 5 small and medium enterprises, 1 large company, 1 standardization body, a consumer association, and a patients association. So the whole chain and the whole society is widely represented in this project. Which are the key outputs of the Preventomic projects? Basically, we want to develop personalized nutrition tools accessible to everyone and aimed at improving health and preventing the onset of diseases. It is based on a modular predictive DSS. It is modular because it can be rapidly interchange the objective of personalization. We are focused on weight loss and general population and improving the metabolic state of general population in this project, but it can be adapted to different requirements and different needs, such as sports or precision medicine and so on. We will provide with targeted diets and functional ingredients to improve the metabolic health of users. There is an important changing behavior program, a behavioral change program, because you know that psychological factors in changing dietary habits are really important, and it has been demonstrated, and we demonstrate as well that it is a key factor in maintenance of dietary habit changes. It is based on a dynamic software platform that we will see in the following slide. Basically, the Preventomics system relies on a backend which can be accessed by different kind of applications to retrieve the recommendations for specific users and then use these recommendations in different use cases. And we will see in which use cases we are deploying this system. It is basically in personalized shopping experience and also in food manufacturing. So the platform, the mFood platform that we have developed is unique in its kind because it's interoperable with a wide range of existing apps. As I said, the core of the system stores the different recommendations that can be provided to a user, can be accessed by different applications, different portals to retrieve the information that they need to provide these recommendations in a wide range of different kind of formats. So what we intend to provide and what we have done is a 100% personalized dietary advice in which we promote the Mediterranean diet pattern as the healthy dietary pattern as the basis of this recommender system, and also a second layer of personalization in which this dietary advice is based or adapted to the metabolic state and the genetic background of the user. And it is also adapted to the dietary habits and preferences, level of physical activity, shopping preferences, allergies, or different kind of phenotypic characterization. We have validated this system in 3 levels of the food value chain, three different scenarios, as you will see in the following slides. The first one is marketing and retailer. It means that the user can elaborate their shopping list according to different recommendations provided by the system. Processing and distributing, you will see that also companies providing food and different kind of services of distribution of food can be using this system. And finally, of course, when consuming foods, the user is the focus of this project and of this system. So this about the scientific background of the project. We start with the idea that the different external factors surrounding our lives are inducing different kind of effects on our physiology. And these effects can be classified mainly in 4 different stressors, which are oxidative stress, psychological stress, metabolic stress, and inflammatory stress. If these stresses are maintained through a life course, then they induce the onset of several diseases. You know that most of them are on the basis of different diseases with a high prevalence in our society. So the idea of Preventomics was to define these disease-inducing factors, or to translate these disease-inducing factors into alterations of the carbohydrate metabolism, alterations of the lipid metabolism, the systemic inflammation, alterations in microbiota, and oxidative stress. Because currently we know that those alterations can be measured by means of omics technologies, mainly metabolomics, proteomics, and genomics. We know that these factors are inducing the onset of these chronic multifactorial diseases. So if we can control these disease-inducing factors, then we can prevent them. We can prevent the development of these diseases. And how can we do that? Well, by controlling or modulating external factors with a high impact in these disease-inducing factors, such as diet, nutritional habits, and physical activity. This is the main basis of the Preventomics project. So the journey of the user has been always the same. First of all, the user registers in the Preventomics platform. It is a very simple process. Then it has to provide samples of blood, urine, saliva, and feces for omics assessment of different biomarkers. We're working with 49 metabolic biomarkers in blood and urine, saliva for genetic tests, and finally feces to analyze the microbiome of the user. So this analysis might take 1 month, more or less, after which the user can start the program by following different kind of recommendations and using different kind of applications. In the project, we have used Aldi, and we have developed a microsite for the Aldi supermarkets in which the user can elaborate the shopping list. We use an application from Meteda, which is Metadieta. It's an application for professional dietitians, and also the company from Denmark, Simple Feast, which is providing with food delivered at home and with different kind of receipts in their app. So three different case uses that we are going to see in the following slide. And finally, the user receives notifications that nudge towards behavioral changes, and we expect to be long-lasting behavioral changes. So the deployment of this system through the different tools has been done in 3, or let's say 4 different nutritional intervention studies. These are not pilot studies, but well-designed and nutritional studies. The first one has been deployed in Denmark, in which the company Simple Feast provided food during the whole week and an app with different recipes that collected all these personalized recommendations for the users. In the second case, here in Spain, we have conducted a nutritional intervention study together with company Aldi, in which the user can elaborate the shopping list according to the recommendations that the system provides. It has to say that this is not a shopping an e-shopping platform. It's just to elaborate the shopping list, so the user can, despite is using the catalog from Aldi, they can do their shopping in whatever they need or they want. And finally, the third third use case is with professional dietitians, which have been held by the application from Metadieta. This application allows continuous communication between the user and their dietitian, and these dietitians have been able to adapt their recommendations on the basis of the different characterizations that the Preventomics system has provided through this application. Overall, we have completed these clinical studies, these intervention studies, with more than 500 volunteers. We are still analyzing results, but are really promising results. So if you want to have a glance to these results, I invite you to the final event on April 29th. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Josep, for the overview on the Preventomics. I don't know if there is any question right now. If not, we will try to pick up the last presentations from the project. Okay, Paolo, great. Thank you. So let's go straight to the business. So Paolo is founder and CEO of the company REM Analytics, and he is the NUTRISHIELD project for package 3 leader. So Paolo graduated with a PhD in applied statistics from the EPFL, and since then he's been working in novel measurement tools for human microbiome. He started the company together with Professor Stefan Morgenheller, and with this idea to bring to the market novel technologies that combine molecular biology, novel statistical algorithms, and advanced ICT technologies, and aiming also to design and implement a precise, fast, and cost-effective microbiome test for personalized medicine. So please, Paolo, when you want.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. And again, apologies for having missed the previous slot. There were some unforeseen events, and so I'm currently in a lab doing the presentation, actually developing new measurement tools. So first of all, thank you very much, everyone, for inviting me and giving me the chance to present the NUTRISHIELD project, our approach, and most importantly, what we're doing different in microbiome analysis for personalized nutrition. So this presentation, I'm not going to go through a presentation of NUTRISHIELD as a whole, but I'm going to focus on what we're doing for microbiome and personalized nutrition. So first of all, about microbiome. I think everyone has heard about the microbiome, and I'm going to try to go over the dream of what microbiome is, what are the challenges involved, and what is the progress that NUTRISHIELD has done to reach this dream. So first of all, what is microbiome? So microbiome is the ecosystem of microorganisms living. Yes?
Yeah, sorry, may I interrupt you? Sorry, I think maybe okay. Now it's moving. Yeah, I think it was stuck on the first slide. Sorry for interrupting you.
Can everyone see my slides?
Now, yes. I don't know if you try to move to the next one to see that it's
No.
moving. Okay. Yeah. I think if you move this way, slide by slide, I think we can. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Paolo.
Good.
Sorry again.
So I'm gonna go like this. So again, the microbiome plays an important role in our metabolism as well as in our well-being. And the problem is, how do we analyze the microbiome? How do we go about measuring this complex ecosystem of microorganisms that changes depending on the different niches, and understand how it relates to health and nutrition? And last, I'm going to present the NUTRISHIELD approach and what we're doing different. So first of all, the dream. Microbiome is known to play a role in metabolism. We as humans have co-evolved with bacteria to satisfy some key metabolic pathways that we need to digest our food, as well as to live well. It is highly varied, and it is a brand new field. And so it's such a new field that I've looked up and tried to find some articles from 1919 and 1913 where people were already looking to understand the relationship of the microbiome in human metabolism. So actually, there's a long history of study around this and a lot of knowledge that has built up over what is now more than a century. Again, on the dream. We've evolved over the past century, we've made significant progress, and we now have good understanding of different pathways where we can link the human microbiome, specific bacteria, with metabolic pathways, but also with inflammation and disease. And our objective, I think, as a scientific community today, is to modulate the microbiome in order to improve our metabolism. The challenge is it is an extremely varied ecosystem. And if you have to look at thousands of bacteria at the same time, you're never going to be able to see anything because your signal to noise is going to be huge. And this is illustrated by a series of papers that show how varied your results can be depending on different alignment strategies, sequencing kits you use, or several other parameters that are not linked to the microbiome itself, but only to the analytical process. And the reason for this, we believe, is because all of the techniques that are used today for microbiome analysis are untargeted, meaning that you're trying to look at everything, and that means you have no specificity and leads to difficulties in reproducibility and difficulties in sensitivity. What we are trying to do at NutriShield is to change this paradigm when it comes to microbiome. We propose to do targeted microbiome analysis. So what is a targeted microbiome analysis? It is an analysis where you design your assay. So you try to define a priori, based on scientific knowledge and what is now over a century of literature, what are the key bacteria you need to be looking at and how you need to discriminate them, and then design your assay based on that. And here what you see is one of our genetic maps where we map bacteria genome in order to really design our assays. And this is an opportunity for progress, because if you do targeted analysis, you're going to be able to focus on what matters. You're going to improve your accuracy, specificity, versatility, as well as your cost effectiveness, which is key to use then these analyses in personalized nutrition or diagnostics. And one of the advances we are implementing in NutriShield is the use of advanced testing for genetic composition, or ATGC, which is proprietary from RAM Analytics and used for the first time in personalized nutrition in the context of NutriShield, where we really start from bacterial sequence database and design the assay based on that. And now the way this enters the NutriShield is, how do we pick the target? We are going to analyze the microbiome, combine it with metabolic analysis, and with lifestyle and nutritional evaluation. And the key now is, how do we pick the target? And the way we pick the target is we were collaborating with our partners that do metabolomics, but also with our partners from the nutritional department at the University of Haracopio, with our clinical partners, Ospedale San Raffaele and Hospital Policlinico de la Fe, to identify the key metabolic pathways that link bacteria to specific food, and designing the assay around that. And this also gives us the opportunity of measuring specific metabolites of these pathways. So we can complete the chain by linking the microbiome with the metabolism and the food, and put a recommendation engine and build a recommendation engine in the middle, where we can link the microbiome to molecular nutrition and then rely on nutritionists to link what are the micronutrients and the food that needs to be given to the patients. And we believe that by doing this, we can bring microbiome to precision nutrition rather than personalized nutrition. This is a term that was developed by the Swiss Vitamin Institute, today's Swiss Health and Nutrition Foundation, which is a NutriShield partner, into microbiome diagnostics. And most importantly, as we disseminate this message, create better awareness and generally deliver better nutritional advice. So with this, I would like to thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much.
And are there any questions?
Thank you, Paolo, for the final presentation on NutriShield. You know, different projects with similarities, but also with no differential points and aspects highlighted. So I think if I would like now to invite the different speakers to switch on the cameras, and we will have a little bit of round session, questions and answers that will be moderated. No. by Stefan Kamshop, no, from EUFIC. Thank you very much for being the moderator of this session. So yeah, please, I think we can, no, you're going to launch some questions on the air.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And also we would like to invite also the others, the audience, if you have additional, we'll try to also, now Stefan bring questions remained unanswered before right now, but if there is additional questions, please feel free to post it again. Thank you. Go,
Yes.
Stefan.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Piazza, for the introduction. And thanks for the speakers already for their nice presentation so far. Maybe 2 words to myself. My name is Stefan Kamshoff. I work as a junior projects manager at the European Food Information Council. And I have the honor today to moderate this questions and answers session. Maybe as a quick reminder, in case you have any questions swirling around in your head, please feel free to add them to the chat. And if you see there are any questions in the chat already that you'd like to have answered, you can also react to them and in that kind vote them up, so it's easier for us to spot them. Also, if you'd like to raise these questions in a more personal way, you can also use the raising hand feature and just wait a few seconds, because then we will unmute you and you can just share your questions directly to the speakers. In case there is no such question right at the beginning, maybe we can start with the questions that have already been put in the chat. And I think the best way is if we just go through them in the order of the presentation so far. So I'd like to address the first question to Sergio from Stands for Health. You told us a lot about the iDiet app and the food database, and there have been quite some few additional questions on that. The first one was, did you use a theoretical framework and focus on specific determinants or behavior change methods to build the app?
Well, that's a good question, and also a tough one, because that would probably be more adequate for the IT guys, because I'm not really an informatician here, so I don't really know what they. What I know is that the app is uses a generator algorithm, so it basically chooses the food that best is the best fit for your personal information. But to be honest, I don't know the how deep the algorithm works, or because I wasn't there when they developed it, so I'm sorry I'm not able to give any more accurate information about that.
Yeah, no problem. I think there will also be additional, or probably there will also be additional information on that, maybe on the project's website, that we can, I don't know, maybe share at the end, or I think there was a post in the beginning. There was also 2 questions regarding the food database. The first one was, will the food database be publicly available? And the second was regarding to the products included in the food database, namely how many products have been in the database included.
Well, yeah, the database is publicly available. It's actually published in Nutrients Journal. It's an open access journal, so everyone can go around and have a look. And about the second question, about the how many foods we included there, I think we have 2,800 different foods. Including foods from different countries, traditional recipes, raw foods, fast food, etc. We are actually aiming to expand the database using foods from other countries, so people from other countries can actually look for their favorite foods. But as of now, as I said, we have around 2,800.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. I think that have been all questions for the Stands for Health project so far. The next question was dedicated to protein and Cosmas. You had some very impressive showcase on the different data and its uses. And one question was referring to the data actually, and mentioned how was the AI fed and with what data was it fed?
Yes. First of all, we created a data set of meals that were designed by the experts. As I said in my presentation, more than 2,000 appropriate meals, and also a large number of physical activities. And also we have connected these meals with food databases in order to have all the information about the ingredients. So the AI algorithm takes into account the profile of the user, and at the first stage, tries to identify the meals that fit to the personal needs of the user. Here there are some research works that try to synthesize automatically the meals, but we decided not to follow this direction. So we prefer to work with our group of experts, nutritionists and physical activity experts, in order to design the meals. So we generate the meal plans and we do not generate the meals.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you very much for adding this detail. I'm not sure if we have like a dedicated question related to this right now. There was something popping up in the chat here right now. Maybe, yeah, related to the iDiet app and the protein app. Was any of the behavior change frameworks models used in the background design for these apps? Maybe one of you can answer to that question, or both.
Well, in our case, in the case of iDiet, the user can always update personal information. I mean, it can go as far as today, for instance, if the consumer goes to a restaurant, he can actually input wherever he's eating in the app, so the app will recalculate the rest of the day menu. And yeah, I mean, the user can actually update wherever parameters they think that they should, and the app should be able to offer new menus and new choices. So.
Yes, in our case, we propose the weekly meal plans. For the proposed meal plans and the proposed meals of the plans, we also provide a set of equivalent meals. So the user can select one of the equivalent meals instead. But also we provide the functionality of adding a new meal. So if the user adds a new meal using a manual mode or an automatic mode through the photo image analysis, then the adaptation algorithms takes into consideration this addition and adapts the proposed plans in order to fit to the goals and the needs of the user. Also, the nutritionist can also, using the dashboard, can also change some of the meals in order to improve the personalization of the proposed and recommended plans.
Okay, great. Thank you very much to both of you. And I think the next question is easily connected to yeah, both all the digital tools that we discussed today, but especially to the personalization of these tools. And I think Josep can also maybe answer to that question quite easily. It is about the consumer acceptance that comes with adding these different information to a database or a digital tool. and also to provide different samples, for example, fecal samples, to this database, and also if consumers are willing to pay for such a service.
Yes, well, there are different ambits in here. Regarding information and so on, we must say that all these applications and all these systems are underlying on the GDPR law and directives. So there is actually great concern and care is taken about personal information more than ever today, and it's increasing. And well, regarding the acceptance to provide these inputs, the example of the question talks about feces. We are going to get used to it because with the relevance that the microbiome is showing in health and disease, I'm pretty sure that in the near future, providing this kind of samples will be usual. Currently, the kits we are using are very easy to use for the users, so it's not a real problem. And well, the acceptance has been good in general. I mean, when calling for volunteers, the number of volunteers that came and answered to the call was great, was incredible. So if this kind of samples and if this kind of information is provided to get personalized recommendations that will improve health, and they have this perception, then the willingness of providing with this information increases, and this is quite important. There is also this the question about price. So obviously, all these omics technologies are emerging technologies, and obviously they are quite expensive right now. But you know that analytical technologies have improved exponentially during the last years, and also the price and the cost of performing this kind of analysis have decreased a lot. So we expect that these kind of technologies can be deployed into society in, as the public health systems evolved.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess after a pandemic or a long-lasting pandemic, we are used to get to adjust to the new normal, and setting or including these kind of data into a specific personalized fields is probably part of the new normal in other fields as well. So I guess we can easily adjust to that as well. We have another question here from Katie Maloney. How the consumers will benefit from this research? Is it going to be free? Will it be accessible through the public healthcare point? It is an amazing research work you have accomplished well. Thank you very much, Katie. I think I can maybe put this as an open question in the round if someone is willing to answer that. Someone wants to pick that up. Maybe.
Well, it's quite difficult because I guess it depends on the benefit that provides to the to the society in terms of cost of social care systems or public health care systems. So if we can demonstrate, and I guess that this will take some time, that these kind of technologies are actually providing a cost benefit, reasonable cost benefit, then this kind of approaches might be deployed and finally adopted. But it's not something that I guess that we could say from different partners of these projects, because this is something that has to be, confirmed and studied in some more detail in the coming years.
I assume that will also be very different on a national level.
Sure.
Do you have any expectation on how the uptick will be from different nations, even though in the EU we are quite unified and follow the same goals more or less, but the different countries of course have their own policies.
Sure.
Okay. Next question. We have an open question for FNS-Cloud for Xian, and you talked a lot about the various types of data that we can use, and the next question was quite specific. Was about the criteria that you make for the alert classification system for the diet and drug interactions. Can you share anything about that maybe?
Like Sergio, my answer is I didn't do the work, so I can't answer the question. If the individual wants to go onto the FNS-Cloud website and send me a message through the form, then I will try and get some more information. But very briefly, these are all peer-reviewed, documented incidences of interaction between pharmaceutical products that are registered in the EU and compounds that occur in regularly consumed foods, if that helps.
Okay, so I guess that's a very, very broad field, and you mentioned it already that the classification of these interactions is poorly lacking at the moment. So I guess
it's not so bad. It's not so bad within the research context. There is a great deal of literature about this. What the difficulty is that clinicians currently rely on a system that notifies them if you've got drug-drug interactions. There is no system that alerts them of a potential food or food compound drug interaction. There are one or two alerts that are within the system because there are well-known interactions, and the example I gave was the interaction between calcium channel inhibitors and substances in grapefruit. But there are hundreds of others, and currently healthcare does not have access to that information. And so whilst there is a good body of literature, this is the first time someone has actually built a system that looks at those interactions in a coherent, accessible way for potential users. And IMDEA has done a huge job in gathering that literature together and creating a database that will allow people to do it. It will work for both researchers who are interested in food-drug interactions or food compound drug interactions and understanding the metabolic pathways that are involved in those processes, but it also has potential to be used by healthcare practitioners who are interested in those interactions.
Okay, so there's a great field to be discovered, and I guess we can all look forward to the outcomes of the project. You mentioned already that FNS-Cloud will make a difference for various stakeholders. You mentioned clinicians, but also consumers. Can you maybe also share again how these various stakeholders can make the most out of all the data that is being produced within your project?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because there are clear benefits for researchers and IT specialists of just simply having a catalogue of the information, the data, the resources, the tools, the services that are out there, which overcomes fragmentation. It's more difficult to say what the advantages will be for consumers or policymakers or other stakeholders, except that if we do better science and we make better use of the resources that exist and we don't waste time reinventing the wheel, then inevitably better science, better outcomes. And I think that's one of the real huge challenges that exists in food is that, you know, you can take an interest in cancer and you can take an interest in a particular type of cancer, or you can take an interest in cardiovascular disease. And you're looking at that one bit. For the wider food domain, you're looking at everything from agriculture through to health, And at the moment, you would struggle to find all of the resources that exist. And so the intention of FNS-Cloud is to at least support finding those resources and being able to pull that information into your work as a researcher or an IT specialist. And then it's hoped that that will have benefits for other user communities, such as policymakers. And if you have better scientifically underpinned, valid arguments for public health, then inevitably that's going to benefit consumers.
Okay, thank you very much. Sounds like a great chance to collaborate between different stakeholders, and yeah, very nice to hear about that. There was another quick question I maybe can answer, or Beata can answer that actually. Also from Katie, is the recording going to be shared with the attendees at some point?
Yeah, definitely. We will send the recording via email to all of the attendees, and then we also post it in the Preventomics webpage and the space of the CHanCe cluster. So it will be publicly available for everybody.
Okay, great. So you'll all have the chance to review this webinar today, and maybe we can make a little detour now towards what Paola was sharing with us about the microbiome. Something that I hear, for example, quite often as a question, what actually is the microbiome? Why is it so important? You already mentioned it in your talk briefly, but maybe you can give us another quick overview about that, just to bring everyone on the same page about this. And maybe you can also make the link already towards nutrition and personalization.
Yes, thank you, Stefan, for the question. Well, it's a very broad question, and I'll try to keep the answer in under 50 hours. So, what is the microbiome? Actually, the first thing I would like to say is there are two things. There is a microbiome, and there is a microbiota. And the microbiome is all of the genomes, or the things with genome that live in one of our niches. And that includes bacteria, that includes viruses, that includes cell-free DNA, and pretty much anything you can think of, and a lot of stuff we still have no clue about. What we are actually studying is the microbiota. The microbiota are the bacteria by species or strain or genera. So it is the ecosystem of bacteria studied according to their phylogenetic classification, and that's actually what we're studying. Now, why is this important? Now we focus on the microbiota and we forget the phages and everything else. They are important because many of our natural metabolic pathway rely on bacteria. We need bacteria to break down certain fibers and make butyrate. We need bacteria to process biotin. We need bacteria to process lots of micronutrients, many of which we still don't know about. And that is the link directly to nutrition. If the bacteria are actually pre-digesting or helping us to digest the food we eat, and then helping turn these metabolites into things we can actually use and we need for our own metabolism, then they are very important. We can improve our health by giving the bacteria the food to produce what we need, or by taking the right bacteria to make sure we have the right bacterial ecosystem to digest the food we're eating. Now, how do we go into personalization? And this is the NutriShield approach is about trying to identify what are the key metabolic pathways. And in the case of the NutriShield proof of concept, we'll be focusing on short-chain fatty acids, which means bifidobacteria and Clostridia for the gut microbiome, okay? And designing a very focused assay on the key bacterial species and subspecies that have known metabolic activity in producing short-chain fatty acids. And then we can start understanding, okay, what are the molecules that our bacteria community can process? And from these molecules start preparing a food recommendation on, okay, we know which food have which molecules, and adapting that to the local environment. And again, you won't eat the same food to get vitamin E in Finland as you will in Italy. You might, but you might have better available sources. And that is where the nutrition comes in, the nutritionist comes in to transform what is a molecular advice into an actual food recommendation. So that is the current answer.
The brief overview. Okay, thank you very much, Paolo. Now, maybe to give the last chance to the audience to raise some questions in case you have some. Again, feel free to use the raising hands feature, so you can maybe just quickly share your question with us. And in case there are no such questions, I think, Piotr, we might be able to already hand over back to you and stay on track of the time schedule.
Yeah, sure. Perfect on time. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we can start closing a little bit this webinar. I would like to say a big thank you to all the speakers, to Cian, to Sergio, Cosmas, to Paolo, also to the to our moderator, to Stefan, and my colleague Giuseppe, and then finally also our keynote speaker Ana Ramirez. And very thank you also to all the audience for staying with us during these almost 2 hours and a half for posting really nice questions. And I hope this time has helped you to bring our projects a little bit closer, to know a little bit more about the science behind, but also about the different tools and solutions, the ERM to bring to society, to be used to different stakeholders. And if you want to know more about the different projects, you can check the different web pages. You can follow us also on social media. And as said in the beginning, you would receive the webinar recording via email. And yeah, I think everything all from my side. Thank you again for your time and availability, and hope we see you again very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.